It's like a video showing the original unit. So we just have like a Mitsubishi Triton here. You can see this is a standard double din unit, and like this one, 2009 to 2013 will be this sort of all the same like shape. There's a couple of variations. There is a variation where the head unit is down the bottom here. There's a double din unit here. There's a single din unit on some versions, and then there's also like a version that has an extra trip computer up the top. So it will depend on your badge, but the head unit that like we supply will fit them all, and it just fits in like the top up here. So your first step here is going to be to find something to slide into this like a back slot up here. We have a tool here. This doesn't actually come in our kit, but you can just use like something like strong, like a credit card or whatever. Slide it down there, and then just pull out straight towards you with your hands, and you can see this whole unit slides off now. So in here you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like 6 Phillip head screws that will be undone, then the whole unit will pull out. So there isn't, like some models. And you've also got 1, 2, 3, 4 screws up the top here that do need to come out. So to pull the actual head unit out, you just need to take out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So like 6 screws, 2 up the top that go in here and the 2 down the bottom. Then you can just pull the unit out, and we'll unplug the plugs out the back. So you just unplug the antenna plug with the main big plug there, and the plug on the far right. So just push in the top and pull them out. So that black plastic thing just pulls straight off the back. Here it is. Here you can see this one they haven't done it on, but like sometimes they'll have these twisted down, which they call them the anti-theft screws. So if they were twisted down, you could kind of see how they'd be like sitting in. So if I try to pull it out, you could like damage a bit, or even like bend those. So they are on some turned down on like some models and aren't on like others. Just like something to be aware of. On this one they're actually turned up, so that was fine. This whole thing just pulled straight off. But on like some models they can be turned down. So we're just going to undo our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws here, so we can pull this unit all the way out. So we can see we've taken out the old head unit on like this one. 1, 2, 3 antenna main control wires, and then we've got some extra wires here. These could be for speed control or something, so you can't activate like a Bluetooth unless you're in park. So up here you can see we got the main plug, this plug here, and the antenna one. So depending on the model you have, like some of them have a stereo down here, so you're going to have different plugs, and then you have to like pull the plugs out the back and up through here. Like some of them will have a different like radio in them. These other models of Tritons these years. So there is 4 different adapter kits now in this kit, because it just shows you how many different types of adapters that Mitsubishi actually uses. So we're going to put the adapter kit on now. So you're going to have all your auxiliary cables in a bag like this. I'm just going to go through and show you which ones you need and don't need. You'll have one that has all like the pre-outs on it, let's say it's like subwoofer and stuff. This is not needed at the moment, like unless you're running like an aftermarket amp. A USB one with like a purple cable. This is like third USB, so this is handy for like extra devices like a dash cam or like whatnot. Like, all these plug into the back of the head unit on the other plugs on the other side, which are the auxiliary plugs, and they can only go where they fit into. So we will plug like this one and just leave it hanging out the back. With our 2 main USB plugs and our external mic plug. we will be using this one. We have auxiliary and like video in, we will not be using that. And there's two in here, they're called like a Wi-Fi one, so like this will screw into the Wi-Fi, like a gold brass screw at the back of the head unit, and you can just leave this actually like floating like loose behind the unit. And then the other one is like the GPS. So up to you where you like mount this. The better the view of the sky, the better. So straight above the head unit here is probably going to be okay, because you're going to go straight up throughout the windscreen and there isn't any like steel above it. So that's probably where we'll put it on this one, or we could even tuck it in, and like there's quite like a tight little spot for it. I don't think any plastic's going in there, but that will screw into like the GPS from the back of the head unit. And then we just have two more. We have like a 6-pin grey one that's got a purple cam in plug on it. This is your input for your reverse camera, and then you got like an F cam, which is like a secondary camera if you want to run a secondary camera. Looks like that. And then the last thing you have is an external microphone. Plugs into that like mic port, and you can just run it a bit closer to like your mouth if you like. So two USBs, I'm actually just going to tuck them down the side here. I'm going to pop them out down here, and then I'll just probably like leave them tucked under here just so you can still access them in the future. Hopefully, I see there is a blank over here. We'll try and get a USB like a rocker switch to fit in that blank, and that'll tidy things up a bit. So just I'll keep an eye on our website for one of those in the future. But for now, we'll tuck them down out of the way because they are handy for like updating the firmware, or plugging directly into for like wired CarPlay. And if you are running like a dash cam on here, you would just run it straight around the back. So in your kit, you're going to have like 4 different plugs that have a 20-pin black plug on the end. So this is like a main head unit plug. And then like the other end is going to be all different adapter cables depending what plugs your car has. So it's just like a matter of finding the one which like matches up. So that's it done. Pretty easy. Don't have to cut like solder in your wires. The other plug here we're not going to need in this case. Depending on your model, if you have like a factory reverse camera or something, it could be needed. So you have like a different adapter cable kit. And this here is just our antenna. It's going to plug straight into the back of our unit. So when you are installing our aftermarket reverse cameras, you basically, it's like a wired version, so you want to go from the back of the car here. So you probably want to find somewhere where you can screw it into like a current screw hole, like a number plate screws quite good. Or sometimes there's extra holes and stuff where you could just bolt it into. It is like a universal fit one, so you can adjust the angle. And then quite often you can come in to the trailer plug for your reverse light power. So if you can see here, it's actually running up into here, that like a trailer plug. So you can like tap into these wires. You can just check like the wire out of whatever trailer plug you have, and then check like a multimeter, just put the car in reverse, like make sure you do get 12-volt power on those, and you can actually tap it into there. So that's going to give you positive and like negative power for the camera from the reverse lights. Then the other thing you have to do is you have to run a cable all the way back to behind the head unit. So we normally just follow other cables, so you'd run them like along beside this cable up here. Then you go all the way back, and then you have to get it through into the cab behind the head unit. So the common places to check are on either side of the firewall. You'll see there's a grommet. So on the Triton here you can see it's on this side. The grommet where all the wires go through the firewall, but it can be quite hard to get to sometimes, so you just want to find the easiest place. So we've gone under underneath the car here, and we've found a spot right here, and we're like, oh, that's just below the driver's seat, which is going to be a bit easy to get to. So we've just popped off the trim, and we've found that spot actually through just in here. So we're going to pop the wire up through here, and run it like along here, up the trim, behind there to the head unit. So it's just trying to find the easiest place to run it, really, is what you're after. This is the cable here we have to run from the camera of the back of the car to the head unit. So here we have the head unit end, we have like the video input and the reverse trigger wire. So this is just going to send a signal when the reverse lights are on and puts the head unit into reverse mode. The other end here is going to have the camera plugged into it, and these are our two wires here that are going to go to the reverse light, positive and negative. So we just need to tuck that through and run it all the way back. So we're in this case I'm going to pop it up through that grommet. Now with the camera here, you just want to put it roughly in place. With this model here, it goes up like this way. Put it roughly in place. You can see it is fully adjustable here, and tighten the screws. You can see there's quite a few different mounting holes here. Then we want to put it just in place, however you can, with a single screw, just to make sure that it's all working on the front end, and then you can see what you need to see. So the majority of the time you want to be able to see obviously your tow ball and what's behind you. So tow ball for backing onto a trailer, and behind you for the reverse cam. So like this case here, just for easy mounting, I've actually just screwed it directly into the number plate light. So I popped out that, so then when it obviously pops back in, it's all looking fairly tidy there. And just check that you can drop the tailgate obviously as well. So off the original one here, you just need to pop off the factory clips. Normally just get a screwdriver on both sides to pop those off, and then just clip them back on to the ones on our model here. So the first thing you do after you get to here is to put 20 pin black plug into here, and we're just going to power everything up and just test everything actually works. It's always a good test to do before you go to the next step. So just make sure you push it all the way in, put the antenna plug in, sit the unit back into here. Now what we're going to do is just going to turn the car onto accessory, and fingers crossed this should power up, and it does. And then we're just going to check, there isn't any steering wheel controls on this model, it only has cruise control on the steering wheel. But if you did have steering wheel controls, you would test the steering wheel controls, test that it powers up, test that you have sound, and that the radio works. So that's our basic testing. On this model we're going to put in reverse camera too, an aftermarket one, which actually comes in the kit. So before you do put everything back, you will test all those things as well. But that's just the first test. So a good test to do before you go in and actually put the head unit all back in and tidy up all the wiring. Just make sure your reverse camera comes on, because sometimes the connectors for the power or negative could be a bit loose. So you want to put the car in reverse. Just definitely make sure it's all working. So you can see you just have to use that 6-pin grey plug there to the RCA. And then the green wire here should be to the orange and black wire on the main harness here. It actually says reverse in, which is that one there. I've sort of cheated here, which you can do, because I haven't hooked it up yet. I've just gone into an app here called F Camera, and if we turn this to the rear camera, put the car in reverse so the camera has power, you can see it's working. So if the camera has power, this wire here is going to have power anyway, but it is good to hook this up to the orange and black so you can see it triggers reverse when you go into reverse. Yeah, so we've tested the reverse camera, we've tested the sound, everything's good. So what we're going to do now is actually put the unit back in. We've got our USB plugs and mic that we've actually plugged here. So that's going to plug in the side into these black plugs. Got a main 20-pin harness, got our reverse plug, and our trigger that we've connected the green to the orange and black one that says reverse in. This is because on this model we've fitted one of our aftermarket reverse cameras. We've got our extra USB plug here, which is the third USB plug, which we're not going to actually be using, so you can just plug it in and leave it loose. Same as the Wi-Fi. You can see you've got GPS, it says GPS here, and Wi-Fi. So we're going to screw on the Wi-Fi. make sure you just screw that up tight. This can just float around the back here, that's fine. It's just to extend on the Wi-Fi signal, just pretty much a future-proofing on the unit, just in case for other accessories we bring out. We have our GPS, which I believe I might just mount straight in here, because it'll make it fairly tidy, and sit below that plastic, and it'll give it a good view of the sky. So again, screw that in. So that's basically it. We just need to plug in that, our USB. If you are using the mic, external mic, it will be plugged into here. So you plug that in and like run it wherever you want. Somewhere probably around the steering wheel or up in the sun visor is quite good, because then it's out of the aircon way. So I'll just peel off that stick on the GPS. Take a few links out of the loop, then retie it. You can just leave a lot of the stuff tied up, keeps it fairly tidy. Don't want anything too tied up, because at least it'll allows it to shift a bit as you put it back in. Peel off the free stick pad on the back here, and we'll just stick it straight down. Alright, so just going to plug in our extra cables that we're using. Reverse camera, antenna. Make sure we have this plugged into the purple one for the actual reverse camera. And that is everything. You're showing like I tuck all the wires back. I'm going to slide the unit back in. So they'll all sort of sit and drop down as you tuck them in. Line the top up with those clips that you first took out and give the unit a good push on all corners. And you can see that's all in now. There was the lock brackets on the original unit, which this unit's actually like lighter than the original one, so we don't normally use them. There's no need to use them. Some people do like to use them, so you can actually modify them and screw them in if you really want to, but there is no need. And again, we'll just turn the car on. So that's the unit all installed there. As you can see, looks fairly tidy, but like a factory unit. Obviously, make sure you got sound coming through your radio. That's fine, and that the reverse camera works, which it does. So I'll just put the brake as I put it in reverse. So just make sure the reverse camera is working, and all good. So that is the head unit installed on a Triton.